What's up, guys? Welcome to the line change. And in this video, as I mentioned in our previous video, is another goals and expectations video for the Vancouver Canucks, in particular for Aatu Raty in 2025-26. Now, before we dive into this topic, I want to give a big shout out to my sponsor, Gassy Jack Art, maker of that incredible artwork you see there behind me. And you guys can check them out yourselves at gassjackart.com. You can also find him on Instagram at Gassy Jack Art. There's also a link to his website in the description down below as well. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into this topic. Obviously brought to you by our friends at Canucks Army. This article in particular is written by Tyson Cole. And he goes on to say, one of the centerpieces coming back in the Bo Horvat trade, Aatu Raty looks to have his best opportunity to make the jump to a regular NHL job for the Vancouver Canucks in 2025-2026. As previously mentioned, Raty was traded to the Canucks in 2023, along with winger Anthony Beauvillier and a 2023 first-round pick in exchange for Horvat. Now, that pick was then used to acquire Filip Hronek from the Detroit Red Wings, but at the time of the trade, Raty was viewed as the more valuable asset of the three. Raty was highly touted entering his draft year. Many projected him to go as high as first overall, but a disappointing 3-goal, 6-point draft year with Karpat of the SM Liga had him slide all the way down to 52nd overall before the New York Islanders selected him. Once joining the Canucks, Raty had a short debut, playing just 3 games in Vancouver. Since then, Raty has been a tweener between the NHL and the AHL. In his first season in the Canucks organization, Raty spent the entire year as a top center option for the Abbotsford Canucks, playing a full 82-game season. The finished product scored 18 goals and 34 assists for 52 points. He added 2 goals and 2 assists in 6 postseason games. However, Raty became the star of the Canucks' 2024-25 training camp for his unique technique in the faceoff dot. Raty would flip over his stick to create a scoop on his offside and found success early, which earned him a spot between Niels Höglander and Connor Garland. In fact, he impressed so much that Raty earned a spot in the opening night roster. However, his first stint in Vancouver was short-lived, as after picking up just 1 assist in 3 games, Raty was sent back down to Abbotsford despite finishing with a 61% face-off percentage. Raty would rejoin Vancouver in early November and maintain a roster spot until December 10th before he was sent back down. Despite a 1-game emergency call-up after the JT Miller trade, Raty wouldn't earn his next shot until the Canucks suffered a few injuries late in the season that opened up a roster spot for him. During that 12-game stretch, Raty remained a face-off specialist, adding 5 goals and 7 points to his point totals. With his end-of-season surge as well as his near-point-per-game season in Abbotsford, 17 goals and 40 points in 43 games, many pegged Raty as a lock to make the jump to Vancouver. But with no clarity on a postseason injury that restricted him to just 6 playoff games, Raty's offseason training may be affected. So what would Aatu Raty's season look like for him to meet these expectations, and what are his goals heading into what might be his first year in the NHL? Let's take a look at meeting expectations, earn his role as an every-night NHL starter, and hit the 25 to 30-point mark. Looking at the current Canucks roster, this outcome seems pretty expected, with a center depth of just Elias Pettersson, Filip Chytil, and Teddy Blucher. Raty is the next man up who's ready for a promotion. He spent 33 games with Vancouver last season, so now that they need another centerman, Raty looks to be penciled in on the opening night lineup for the 2nd straight season. Not only that, but Raty would be the only right-shot centerman on the roster. That, along with his face-off ability, should at least allow him the first look at the open center spot. In Raty's 33 games with the big club last season, Raty finished with 7 goals and 11 points. If you stretch that out to an 82-game pace, that works out to be 28 points, which sits perfectly in the middle of what he would have to do to meet expectations. Now, of course, it all depends on who and where he plays. However, Canucks fans can also expect a year of growth, considering he's only gotten better and better as his professional career has gone on. Let's take a look at above expectations, where he excels in a third-line center role and hits the 40-point mark. There's a very strong likelihood that if the Canucks keep their current lineup, Raty will earn that third-line center role, but for him to excel in that role will be the determining factor for him to exceed his expectations. Raty's only worry for losing that 3C role would be if the Canucks went out and added another centerman, Jack Roslovic. But even if the Canucks add Roslovic, that role could very well still be his. Roslovic is a right shot center, but mainly excelled on the wing last season. Roslovic could be used on the wing, but as an extra down the middle if the Canucks run into injury, kind of like Pius Suter was used during his time in Vancouver. The tricky part to hit will be the 40-point mark. Raty doesn't have much room to move up past the third line, as he's playing behind Pettersson and Hedl. Not to mention, Raty will likely play the defensive role, tasked with shutting down the opponent's toughest competition. This will only hinder his offensive zone time, and thus his point totals. But it's the above expectations column that should be his expected ceiling coming into 2025-26. Let's take a look at some below expectations. Failed to hold onto an NHL job, remain an NHL/AHL tweener, failed to hit 20 points. While we've been giving Raty praise, pretty much ensuring he will make the team next season, that's not a certainty. The Canucks add more traditional centermen and can't find a suitor for Blueger. That might push Raty back, and now he's competing with Linus Karlsson, Max Sasson, and Archie Bains for a roster spot. As we mentioned above, who knows the extent of the Raty injury? Is that something that is affecting his offseason training? Will he be ready for camp, just like he was last year? If he does remain an NHL/AHL tweener, then it's likely Raty will have similar point totals to last season with a similar number of games. Now, this author does expect Raty to be on the team to start the season, but there are some unknowns surrounding his situation, which could result in him not becoming a full NHL player and ultimately would fail to hit the 20-point plateau. Let's take a look at some 2025-26 goals for Raty. 1. Earn and maintain his spot in the NHL. Number 2. Continue his face-off success. Number 3. Hit the 30-point mark. Number 4. Find value in a penalty-killing role. And number 5. Continue to build chemistry from last year's training camp with Niels Höglander. With Pius Suter out the door, that opens up a spot for a center on the team's penalty kill. If the 22-year-old is in the lineup, given how crucial faceoffs are and his defensive game, Raty would likely earn that role, but it should be his goal to hold onto that job. His faceoffs shouldn't be an issue. Raty has had a 62.5% and a 57.5% faceoff percentage in his 2 seasons in Vancouver, respectively. But what would make Raty's transition to the NHL even better, would be if he paired up with Niels Höglander again. In last year's training camp, Raty centered a line with Höglander and Garland, and they turned heads. With Garland likely graduating to the top 6, Raty and Höglander would be paired together on that third line. If the two can pick up where they left off last year with another season of development under Raty's belt and Höglander's late season surge, it could help form Raty's offensive game at the NHL level. So there's that. Now the question is, what do you guys think of this? Do you guys agree with these goals and expectations for Aatu Raty in 2025-26? Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys agree with them or if you guys maybe even disagree with them. Once again, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. And as always, if you guys like this video, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to stay up to date on all your Vancouver Canucks content, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. You can find us on social media. You can find us on Facebook. Just search The Line Change. You can find us on Instagram at The Line Change. You can find us on X at Line Change Van. You can find us on TikTok at The TLC Podcast. You can also find us on Blue Sky at The Line Change. If feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. If you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you can find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. On Spotify, feel free to give us a follow as well as rate and review us. It is, of course, greatly appreciated. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, let's go Canucks, and I'll see you guys in the next video.